Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the PCN Podcast, Week 4, Season 10. I'm a little Brazilian, your host. Alongside me, we got Rio and Lego. Joining us on our panel today, we have Kazra from Minnesota, Stone from Benfica, One Shot from Lille, and Smurf, Snow, Palexki, lots of names, from Dortmund. So, let's get into the Super League. First place, we got Minnesota, sitting on 59 points with 48 for and 16 against. A recent draw against Roma. Talking point for there. No more King Evan. They have a 10-point lead with 14 games left. Now, it's a pretty sizable lead, and that's a lot of games to go. What do you think? You know, with the recent little hiccups in form, the loss to Spurs, the draw to Roma, do you think that could be a sign of things to come, maybe with King Evan out the door as well, or is this a title-decided situation? Well, Kazra, let's reach to you, since you are a resident Minnesota expert.
Yeah. I think our 10-point lead, it will have us being able to drop a couple points to the bottom table teams like Roma and others, but we still have a lot of games to go, and as long as we can keep scoring, we'll be fine. Kessie got a hat trick against Juventus, which is proving that not only Eric can score on the team, and we just have to all around be playing better.
Useful insight. Rio, you got any extra little fun points that you bring up?
I just want to ask Kazra from an insider perspective, what was the story behind King Evans leaving?
So after Aztecas and Perfect joined, we had new people on the team that could make a difference, and it was after the loss against you guys we tried something new, and the locker room didn't really work out, and he just wanted to leave.
Okay, so the story I was told was that Retro and Jakub decided to bench Evan for late night tonight and league, or late night Tuesday and then league Wednesday. So he just said, yeah, I'm out with this, and he left. So
yeah, that's basically what happened last week for Super League.
Well, there you go. Story uncovered.
All right, and with that, we can move on to Stone's Benfica, who sit in second place, but not very comfortably, with the 10-point gap from first to second, but a 1-point gap from second to third. Now, Benfica's on a hot streak right now. Y'all are sitting on, I think, a 6-game win streak, but you have 7 losses on the season. But you are joint best for the best. Of course, they're joint best for the best defense. But is this more of a focus on how you want to round out this season, or are you already starting to look at what you might be able to do to influence your chances at a title run next season, Stone?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, we this is our first season in a Super League, and last season we played half the year in League One. We took over Dortmund, and then almost got into the playoff to go to the Super League. Just missed out. And then we, got fortunate and were able to get in Super League for this season. So this is our first really full season in PCN period. So, we've done well, in my opinion. We've had a few hiccup games, against probably some weaker teams. But I think we've got a really quality squad. And then honestly, we're looking to build on it. We're still making moves. We're still trying to figure out exactly what we're doing with some of our guys. And I think we're only going to, continue to improve. I mean, I think we have improved throughout the year, and I look for us to make a title run for sure. If not this year, just because, or this season at least, just because Minnesota is looking really strong this season. I think they've got a nice cushion. So it may be tough this season, but definitely, next season we're looking to, maybe add a couple of pieces and, take that next step.
So there's a few people that have been managers that have been around for a while with the same teams, League with Leon, Stay High with PSG, et cetera, et cetera. You, Perps, and Chuck, I can never remember who's the manager, but are you guys looking to be one of those, because I know you guys play clubs all the time, are you looking to be one of those teams that you're maybe not Benfica, but you're looking to be a long time stand team in the league, like a couple of seasons into the future, with like,
you talking about kind of like our core group,
Yeah,
like me and Chuck. Chuck, he's the head owner of the club, and then me and Perps are kind of co-managers. But Chuck, I've been playing close with him for a long time. We know each other well. And I actually met Perps, I guess, last year. So I haven't known him in a long time, but, we've all three got a real strong relationship. We play all the time together. And we've got a good core group of guys that we know and like, and that we know how each other play. And I think we've all got pretty good chemistry. We have our bickering here and there, just like any other team. But I think we're here to stay as long as we keep doing what we're doing. And I think we're constantly looking to make some adjustments here and there with personnel. And but no, I think we're on the right track.
All right, and with that, we can move further down the table. As I said, the 1 point gap between Benfica and third place Inter Milan. 48 goals for, 29 against. Their defensive struggles are continuing. Early season favorite, the curse kind of striking again as they had a really strong start to the season. We were favoring a big title push from them just to kind of start teetering off, but they have made a big defensive signing in Gummy to strengthen up that in between the sticks. What's next for them, though? Kaz or Stone, do you guys have any insight from when you played them, what you noticed, what you think a signing like Gummy can bring to their team?
I mean, I think Inter's a really solid team. The guys that when I've played them, I think stood out to me. I think Vols, he seems like a really big time player from what I can tell. I believe is he a CDM? I think that's what he plays.
That's the wrong Milan.
I thought you were talking about Inter. My bad.
We
talking
are
about AC, evidently.
No, we are talking about Inter.
He plays for AC.
He plays for AC.
Whatever, man. There's 2 Vols in the league, guys. Sorry. There's 2 Vols, evidently. So sorry.
Not cutting that out.
Go ahead, leave it in.
All right, go for it. Just keep going. You're good.
But no, I think Inter's got a really solid team. I think Koof, I know he plays for Inter, and he's a solid. I believe he's a striker. He's a solid player. I mean, every time we play, I think we played them. And I know at least once, and I think they took us out 1-0 that game. They're very competitive. I think they're here to stay.
Yeah, and with Inter, I know a couple of their recent losses have been the 90th minute against PSG, and us on Minnesota was in the 94th. So they just got to make sure to D up in the late minutes, and they could have a lot more points than they do.
One thing I would say is about Inter is that, as Brazil said, early season favorite curse strikes again. If Kessler, you was on the team, so you remember everybody was favoring Juve at the beginning of last season, and then
for sure
it started off decent for the first couple of weeks, and then everything just hit the fan hard. And it hasn't been as bad for Inter, but it seems to be whoever is that favorite kind of hits that hill and just can't recover from it.
Sorry, my mom called me. Okay. Moving on to the other Milan that our good friend Stone here so graciously complimented their Vols, sitting in 4th place on 44 points. Smokebreak hasn't scored in the last 12 league matches, and Lego is one of the new signings. You might have a little insight for us on the team, but I'll get to that in a little bit. Vols, as the aforementioned Stone complimented, superstar in the making. Again, remember, he converted from center back up into the midfield, and he's been a very influential part of that Milan camp. But the real question is, what changes need to be made?
That's kind of interesting because I am a new person and I didn't come here to take a starting role, but I know that we did play a 3-5-2 earlier in the year, and then we changed that to kind of help accommodate some of our players. And now, this new formation around a 4-3-2-1, it's creating different problems, and a decent amount of people unhappy with our lineup. As far as what needs to be changed, I think we're going to be sticking with the 4-3-2-1 formation-wise, but I know that there's talk inside the team about maybe changing up the personnel, giving different people looks, different positions, maybe bringing in someone from outside. But nothing's, as of right now, nothing is concrete.
One thing I would say is from what I've been told a lot, but from what I'm allowed to say, because, people talk.
Oh, you work for the government now?
Yes. So from what I'm allowed to say, exactly. From what I've been allowed to say is that Milan is Brazil, as you know, because you pointed this out last night. Cough, cough, Spurs. We'll get to that. Milan practices a lot. They they're on at least an hour and a half before games warming up. But the problem that I've been told, which Lego could probably agree with being in the chat, not everybody on the team likes to show up and practice because, who plays FIFA nowadays, honestly? Let's be real here. So it's infighting between people wanting to practice and train and then people that just want to show up and play games. So I think that's where some of the conflict is coming in at.
Yeah, most definitely, because there's the practices, especially with lately, Late Night League has been taking a lot of players away from PCN practices. So, like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you want to see people practicing. And then there's definitely a gap between some people practice every day, run games for like an hour or two, and then there's other people who think, I don't need to practice to show up on the game day. That's definitely a thing that goes on here.
Well, some valuable insight from the inside source. Moving on to 5th place, NYCFC. Now, I think we can all say we expected Meat to come in and make a decent impact, but 5th place, that's a great debut season for that side. And the question now is, do they continue their Super Cup hunt?
So, Kazra and Stone, you guys have played NYC, so you can touch on it. But from my perspective, as you can see by the table, there's no, unless Minnesota and Benfica and Inter as well all just fall apart the next 14 games. There's no chance of winning the title. So top 5 Super Cup, that's their goal right here. So I would like to see Meat and them make a run in the Super Cup just because it's always entertaining to see Meat and them play, especially as they've hit like a high peak of form lately.
Yeah, I think Meat has a solid squad.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think Meat has a solid squad, man. And I check out his streams from time to time, and I watch those guys every once in a while. And he's got some solid players on that team, some guys that really I don't really know a lot of, but like I said before when I spoke about them, they were a really solid team defensively when we played them. They beat us, and we had a terrible game, but man, they were solid. And if they keep that up, I mean, they're definitely probably top half of the table team. And if he can make a few moves with a few guys, probably, they're gonna be around for a while.
All right, and now we move to life outside of the top 5, and we reach 6th place Manchester United, who I think, if you take a look at where they were in the beginning of the season and all of their woes sitting in the lower 2/3 of the table, I think this is definitely a big turnaround for them. 33 goals in 24 games. Now they're just trying to adjust to life after Magic, and really now it's up to B-God to see what he plans to do for the next season.
Well, just one thing I know about B-God, that for anybody that knows B-God knows, he always has a plan up his sleeve. So always interesting to see what happens next season with United.
Dropping into 7th place, PSG, and this is one of the little emotional love stories of PCN. PSG have moved and continued to move out of that crux that had been holding them back. Not really even holding them back. It was just kind of like a joke. Kind of just wrote itself to death. But PSG now up into 7th place, 38 points, 35-4, 26 against, sorry. Stay High stepping back has started to look like it's working out for them. And if they can keep this form going for the next 14 games, then I think next season there's a real chance they can break into the top 5.
This, Brazil, as a fellow commentator, you can agree with this. This is why marquee matchups are the greatest thing to ever come to PCN, because even though they was in 8th place last night, I still thought of PSG as the same old PSG. But last night, being able to watch them play, it's a different style. Maybe that has something to do with Stay High not playing and not using the pro camera as a striker, but we're not going to get into that. It's just the ball feels like it's more fluent. It's actually a decent team to watch. Not going to lie.
Yeah, obviously I wasn't commentating last, but I made sure to try and catch the stream. And although it was a low-scoring game, I still think the new identity for PSG was something that gave them the opportunity to really expand on what they had. Their core group of players has really been, they've had that chemistry for the time now, but with this new attack envisioned with Stay High stepping back a little, I think it just gives the new life to the team that they needed to really step forward from where they were initially. So I'm just really excited to see them moving up in the table and kind of reclaiming their old throne.
Yeah, because I believe it was season 7 is the last time is when Lupe made team of the season. Like that was the last time PSG, like that was when they finished third, and it was also the last time that they had like a really good season because of Lupe and Stay Hot being able to work well together. Ever since Lupe has kind of stepped back from playing, it's been a struggle with finding good strike partners, just good attacks, and I believe what's his game attack? Conflict Slacks. Is that his name?
I believe so. Yep.
That guy. He's his first season, but he seemed like a real deal.
Yeah, I remember that name being dropped a lot in the chat during the marquee matchup. I wasn't able to catch it in its entirety. I was kind of glancing as I was keeping up with my homework, but it was definitely the entertaining game to watch. I look forward, as a shameless plug, to this upcoming Sunday's marquee matchup. Hope to see you all there, by the way. But with that, I think it's safe to say we can move on to 8th place now, on to Manchester City, onto the blue side of Manchester, where the Last King curse continues and they suffer from a string of draws. The return of Unix strengthens their defense, but what's their real plan going forward? Do they continue to strengthen that back line? Do they rely on Unix to be that core player to kind of build around? Do you think maybe Last King's presence is what's warding them off? Or do you think it's just unlucky coincidence?
Last King's always had like a really strong team, but man, he loves a good draw every now and then because every year it's just they'll have 15 wins, but they'll have 14 draws. So I don't know. I think Last King's just unlucky.
Didn't City pick up Magic Man?
Yes, they did.
They did.
Yeah, he's a solid player. That was a really solid pickup for them, in my opinion. And I don't know. The time I've played against that guy, he's impressed me from time to time. So I think that was at least a good pickup for them.
I know they've shifted him out to the wing, if my memory serves. Last time I saw one of their games,
It's
a little bit.
I don't know that I love that move. I mean, I think that he seems kind of like a playmaking striker, from what I could tell. But hey, that's their system.
Yeah, and again, I think we still have these last 14 games to really see him settle in and see what he makes out of that team in that position to see if it really suits him in that new wide midfield area, or if, maybe 7 games in, they feel like they might want to remix it up, bring him back up top. I think by the end of the season, we'll definitely have a more definitive answer about his strengths and weaknesses in that 11. From that, though, 9th place, speaking of weaknesses, Spurs, 35 points, 34 for, 29 against. The weakness that Rio mentioned earlier was the lack of practice. Last night, we had an abysmal turnout with barely our full 11 making it on like 2 minutes over we were supposed to be in a game. So I think that was definitely a big wake-up call for us that we needed to start practicing more. It's a commitment that I think we've made on this podcast about 6 times now, so you guys might need to keep on me about it, like some kind of New Year's resolution, but it's the chemistry. It's led to chemistry problems where we played some of the worst we'd played last night, and I think the plan moving forward for Spurs is just maintaining a tighter regiment. Been a little bit too loose.
I was going to chime in. I was like, this season, like, obviously with Minnesota having a 10-point lead and everything we've already discussed, there's no titles to win. But there's no reason to throw a season away. Like, 14 games left, still a lot of games to play. But we got online and called. We had 10 minutes called, and at the 9 o'clock or at the 8 o'clock on the, it was 5 people in the party. You can't change that. Like, it's you either want to be there or you don't. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, we have 14 games left in the season as well, so a chance for us to kind of figure out what we need to change around in our team to make sure we have the people there on time and the right people in place. Speaking of the right people, good company. 10th place Lyon, 35 points, 26 for, 25 against. Inform League lives for the marquee matchup, but he hasn't really been showing himself in that same light outside of it. The real question is Inform League dying out.
I'm a bit disappointed as a PCN Lyon fan. Seeing League and marquee matchups play very well. It's been an exciting experience. It's also been made me happy to see him do well. So with Lyon kind of settling back down in the mid-table, it's definitely been disappointing to watch. I'm hoping they pick it back up, but with the season kind of winding down, it's looking like it might be just another mid-table finish for them.
11th place Juventus, 34 points. The debut of the notorious King Evan 300X, because ISO nicked his old one. The struggle continues, however. They are not showing the Juventus of old. The Bianconeri still not really found their identity since their managerial shift, and really identity shift at this point. I think they have a good core group of players there, a group of players that can definitely challenge for top 6, realistically. I mean, I say realistically, at this point, the Super League is getting so competitive. There's so many teams that can be top 6 quality, but on any given day, most teams in this league can beat each other. So it's difficult to really make those predictions anymore. But I think they're a group of players with a good core, and they're definitely capable of being higher in the table than they are. They've just had a series of woeful struggles. Here's hoping the defensive signing of King penalty. Well, I'm trying to make a good King penalty joke, but didn't really work out. If King Evan improves their back line.
Can I just leave a giant for that fail at a joke?
Yeah, it was not good. Not good at all. I don't know. Felt like that was a warranted jab. I saved more penalties from that man than I care to admit. 12th place, Bayer Leverkusen. Strong offense, weak defense. Not too much new there. Continuing their kind of on-off form. Just need to strengthen up that back line to really make any significant changes. 13th place. Whoop, go for it.
I was going to say, marquee matchup against Man City proved one thing, is that they're either on point, which the strong offense to show, or they're really off point, which the marquee matchup showed, because it was either 5 or 6-0. So
yeah, I think the less said about that, the better. 13th place, River Plate. Now, they are not the River Plate of old anymore, unfortunately to say. It looks like their deeper mid-table run is looking to continue. That 13th place in that ballpark, I think the season winds down. That's about where they'll finish. Really, it's just a question of what they'll do in the offseason to try and change that. But at the moment, not a lot going.
Yeah, because Perfect's out the window. He's over at Minnesota. We played them last night. There's no more Kiwi. There's the core from last season. I know half the team went to Minnesota, but the core that stayed, they're not even there no more. So it's a whole new team other than Don.
Will be.
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the season, the 2 defaults they got, I think that kind of hurt them, and they just lost the will to keep fighting. And they lost a lot of players, and Kiwi, he doesn't show up after a couple losses, so hurt them in the end.
Well, 14th place Arsenal. Ricky will be a happy camper. No one has to get banned because they're out of the relegation zone. I think that's a significant improvement from their early season venture.
It was looking bad for a while.
15th place Atlanta United, just still slowly getting it together. Again, not where they want to be, just time to work and try and rebuild. 16th place Roma, not a lot new, same old, same old. 17th place Lazio, oh, get this, Ace rebuilds. Again.
So, not touching on this for too long because it's not that much to talk about. And, by the way, Mr. Real 420, sir, I will say your name next time you want me to. Thank you. Come again. Anyway, moving on. So, there was some infighting due to them not scoring, I believe. Saul Goodman told me a lot of what happened, but Saul Goodman, the co-manager, was not happy. He wanted to leave. I believe Ace didn't want to release him. He bought out his contract. A lot of other stuff happened, but a lot of the team left. So Ace had to rebuild again, which seems to be a trend on every season.
Well, let's talk in little happier terms about 18th place Young Boys. the almost kind of overnight fan favorite club in PCN, has kind of worked their way out of relegation. They have a chance to survive here. Not out of it yet, but a win against Spurs, a huge result for their team, was a chance to get those 3 points that they needed to keep climbing. And I think momentum like that could be crucial for them continuing. I think almost similar to like a mentality of a cornered animal. Like once it reaches that point where it's got nowhere left to go, it's just going to keep fighting until it either gets out or it don't. And I think young boys have the fight in them to get out.
This seems to be a trend season, like the last 2 seasons. Young boys are in relegation, and then they start making a push towards the end of the season. They was fighting for last place for the first half of the season. Now they're only 5 points away from being out of relegation, which with the recently talked about Lazio and Roma's not that far ahead of them. It's highly possible they can make it up if they play like they did last night. And Epic Fonzie making 20 saves a game.
Finally, on to our last 2 teams, 19th and 20th place, Bayern and Schalke, respectively. Not a whole lot new going on in their department. 2 teams look like they're set to hit the drop by the end of this season. Talking a little bit on stats leaders, goals, CF Pete continues his quest for the Golden Boot with 19 goals. Stride sitting on 18, tied on 18 goals. And as we mentioned in the marquee matchup, was it the most recent or the one before? I think it was the one before because I think I was commentating that one with Lego Dog. Yes. I think the next closest person on his team had not as many goals. 6 goals, yeah. So he's really been...
It will stay high with 6 goals, who in 7 games, I believe.
Yeah, Conflict Slacks has really been spearheading his team's assault. Without a doubt. On to assists. Chronic on 12, continuing his quest for the golden, wingman award, sure. Liverpool Mad Kev on 11 and Kid Nashty on 9. Defensive tackles, the 2 names you expect to see at the top of the list. Dorsey still having a tear. 76 defensive tackles. Rambo on 64. And Lozzo, 10 ounces on 60 defensive tackles. We get to the keeper saves department, and Epic Fonzie is reaching that record not far off. 14 games to make another, I believe, 60-something, almost 70 saves. Which, with the saves he's been making at this rate at 124, by this match day, I think he might be able to reach it. WC.
Why do you keep doing this, Brazil?
World Cup, WC. I say everything but West Coast. West Coast Milo on 107 saves, followed by Jeepers. Rio can't spell, so it says Jeppers here on 101.
Okay, look, spelling's not my strong suit here, but you get the point of the story.
Well, you know what is your strong suit? League One.
Actually, my strong suit is League 2. Lego, on to League 1.
Listen, I'm just giving you a segue. Roll with it.
I also segue. I segued your segue. Segueception.
All right, so here we go. Moving down to League 1. Let's start off at the top of the table here. We got Chelsea still in the lead. They had big wins versus Liverpool, Galatasaray, and Leo, but a 3-0 loss to Orlando after a bit of a controversial, DDoS maybe. But talking to admins, there's no proof that a DDoS happened, but some fishy stuff apparently went on there. I don't know all the details on it. I don't know if Rio, if you know anything else, I don't, but it's just a weird situation.
From all of what I have been told is that Chelsea players started getting booted out after exactly 10 minutes, and then they couldn't get back online for 2 hours. It sounds like a DDoS to me, but I'm just a bystander.
It may sound like a DDoS to me, but admins looked over the situation. They decided they had no proof. That 3-0 loss will stand for Chelsea, but even with it, they're still looking pretty solid. Have a 7-point lead over America's second-place team. America only playing 3 games in the past game day, being Leipzig and Napoli, but losing to 8th-place Genk, a bit unfortunate for them. They still have a game in hand over Dortmund in 3rd, but they'd probably be hoping to do better with Chelsea dropping points to Orlando. They were probably hoping to not drop points to Genk. A little bit disappointed there, but still hanging pretty strong in second. Moving down from them, we have Dortmund, who is looking strong in third. They have 4 wins and 1 loss in the last 2 game days. 1 loss going to Real Madrid. They moved up from 5th place on the last podcast. Now they're all the way up in third, tied with America. America does have a game in hand, but Dortmund definitely looking very nice lately. We have King Snow, Smurf, Platesy. Name changes a lot, but his team's been playing well. How do you feel about how your team's been doing lately? I don't know if Smurf is. But...
Yeah, I'm here, Ryu. My mic's muted.
No, it's all good.
God.
Yeah, so how do you feel about how your team's been playing?
He muted his mic again.
My bad. I'm in a group chat with the BVB guys right now, so I'm back and forth.
Yeah,
Okay,
so I was just asking, Dortmund, you've been doing pretty well lately. How do you feel about, how your team's been playing?
I'm proud and disappointed at the same time. I'm proud of the defense. APOC is doing great in net right now. Set a record last night for most clean sheets for BVB, so I'm proud of that, but the offense is just not clicking at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. You guys have had a fantastic defense this season. One of the best in League One. I think you do have the best defense in League One in terms of goals allowed, but it's just might be getting that offense clicking. That's much easier said than done. Moving down from Dortmund, we have Lille, who haven't been on the hottest streak in the last 2 game days, 2 points in 3 games. Down 1 spot to 4th from the last podcast. They drew Liverpool and Orlando, lost to Chelsea. They do have a game in hand, so it could be worse. One shot, how do you feel about how your team's been playing? In case these been cut out for the podcast. He pretty much said is they had a little bit of a hiccup last night, but you can't really be too mad because his team's been playing well all season. And one bad match day is not going to define them as a team. I think for the most part, is what he's trying to get at. It's unfortunate your mic's not working too well though. And then moving down from Lille, we have Real Madrid sitting in 5th. They had wins versus Dortmund and Leipzig and a draw versus Barcelona. Gave them 7 points in the past 2 match days, but they lost to 12th place Olympiacos. Even with that, they still move up a spot to 5th, but definitely not the type of results they'd want. Their goal differential is still 2nd in the league, tied for 2nd with America. So if you judge by that, they should be higher in the table than they are, but they're just dropping points to teams that they really shouldn't be dropping points to. That Olympiacos loss being a 4-1 loss. One of the most surprising results in League One for the past 2 match days for sure. Question for them is if they can be consistent enough to make a climb up the table, because they definitely have shown that they can play well. It's just they need to be playing that brand of football game in and game out, which they have not been so far. 1 spot below them, we have Galatasaray, who on the last podcast they were sitting in 4th. Now they dropped down to 6th, so definitely not been playing how they would like. 3 points in the last 4 games, coming off a win versus Atletico, who is sitting in last right now. They defaulted last Sunday to Liverpool. I don't know all the details on that, but you never like to see a team default a game, especially being in 4th place. You don't want to be losing games that you're defaulting. You definitely don't want to be dropped 9 points in 4 games.
I do know, because he announced it in the Discord, so I can say it on the podcast because it's public information. Galatasaray's manager is looking to step down, and he's trying to find somebody to take over the team. So that might explain a lot of what's happening there.
Yeah, knowing that, it would be that sort of drama would definitely play a role in it not playing as well. I didn't see it on Discord, so I really appreciate you mentioning that. So if a manager stepping down, I can definitely see why they would be struggling. Moving below them, we have Liverpool, who defaulted 2 games. Oh no, I got that wrong. They won 2 default games. They did not default them. They won 2 defaults. A little bit of error in my notes there. They also drew versus Leo and lost to Chelsea in the 2 games that they played. So overall, 7 points in the past 2 match days, but 6 of those points coming from defaults. The games that they played not going as well as they might have hoped, although they did play against two strong teams in Lille and Chelsea, both of them near the top of the table. And then moving down below them, we have Genk, who won 2, lost 2 in their past 4 games. They had 2 wins coming against America and Monaco. That America win, I talked about a little bit earlier, that's a big win for them. America staying second, Genk in 8th. So being America is definitely a very impressive win for them. But the 2 losses coming to teams below them, and Santos and Orlando. Santos previously being in relegation battle, so not a team that they'd want to lose to if Genk wants to push forward towards promotion. But they've been looking pretty average if you go by the past match day. Crazy. Their losses weren't the worst, but their wins haven't been.
They did beat. Yeah. I can say this. This is not really League One, but it's about Genk. They beat NYC, I think it was 2-1 in the League Cup, which they was really happy about. So they have the capabilities of beating Super League teams.
Yeah, also bringing up the League Cup, if you look at Genk, they beat New York City 2-0 back on the 13th, but then yesterday, Wednesday, they lost 6-0 to PSG in the League Cup to get knocked out. So not the best. They were not able to continue that formula in the League Cup, unfortunately for them. Below them, we have Orlando Pirates, my former team. And their new management struggled a little bit at first, but he's definitely looked like he's been turning it around. They have 2 wins against Genk and Chelsea and a default win against Napoli and a draw versus Lille in their past 4 games, giving them 10 points in the past 4 games. It's definitely looking like the new management's bringing a lot of desired results that they weren't getting at the start of the season. And what I find surprising here is they have 2 Team of the Week players in Adam Coops and Lord King. They also started in DM and Muffin Man, Adam Coops and Muffin Man going to America, but they've still been able to produce results definitely better than when they had all those good players. So maybe a little bit of addition by subtraction, getting some players who might put up good stats, might be good players, but they just don't fit inside the team, it looks like. And it's definitely been helping them lately. Moving past them, we have Monaco, who are sitting in 10th with 26 points. They got 2 wins against Genk and Chelsea, a default win against Napoli. All right, so then moving on to Monaco down in 10th place. They've gotten 2 wins and 2 losses in their past 2 game days. The wins came against Olympiacos and Barca, which are 12th and 14th respectively. The losses against Leipzig and Genk. Leipzig at 15th and Genk at 8th. Their 2 losses were 4-1 and 6-1, which are not what you'd want out of losses. They're not close losses where you lose by 1 goal and you say, "How we can get them next time." They've both been blowout losses, not much to really build off of. But they did get 2 wins, so it wasn't the worst stretch for them. But it's definitely tough to get blown out twice, especially moving forward, trying to keep team chemistry. And then after Monaco, we have Santos, who we had Sham on last week for the transfer show. Talked about they're trying to make moves, trying to sign people, trying to bring Santos out of relegation. And he has done a fantastic job if the last 4 match days are to judge off this. 4 wins their past 4 games, perfect 12 points. Only team in League One to do that. They moved out of relegation zone, and now they're sitting in 11th, looking to keep climbing that table. I think this is a very impressive sort of mid-season rebuild. Their wins might not be against all the top table teams, the best win coming against Genk, but being in the lower table, it's not always a guaranteed win against lower table teams, and getting 4 wins has been huge for them. All right. And then moving past Santos, we have Olympiacos. Their 2 wins coming against the Madrid teams, Real and Atletico. So they're very good against Madrid, but the 2 losses coming to Dortmund and Monaco. Dortmund being a good team, Monaco sitting in 10th. God, I just had a mind blank. Sorry about that. Nothing spectacular, but 6 points in 4 games. While sitting in 12th, that's good enough to keep them out of relegation. They're 4 points clear right now. So if they keep that sort of form up, they should be good. But it's a bit tricky to keep that going. That goal differential isn't the best, but they're hoping to keep just winning the games they need to. I don't know if promotion playoff would be in the cards for them. They're 17 points out of that. But for them, I think just avoiding relegation is the goal of the season. Now going down to 13th place. Now we get the bottom 4 teams in the league. Napoli, the first team clear of that relegation zone, sitting 20 points in 13th place. They have 0 points in their last 2 game days, including 2 default losses. I don't know exactly what's going on in that Napoli camp, but I know that definitely it's hard to keep chemistry after losing 4 games, and especially defaulting games never makes anyone happy. And relegation's definitely now a real danger for them, not getting any points, because if they keep their form, they're a very poor chance of staying in the league. And moving down into the relegation zone, we have Barcelona, who by most teams' standard might have had a poor week, but 4 points in 4 games isn't terrible while you're sitting in 14th with 17 points overall in 22 games. A point a game may be good enough to bring them out of relegation. They were able to win versus last place Atletico, draw against 5th place Real Madrid, but they picked up losses to Monaco and Santos. They moved into relegation this week after being clear last week, Santos moving up and pushing them down into relegation. Now the challenge for them is look at what Santos did, having like a good match days, getting wins, getting out of relegation. They gotta try to do the same thing.
I was going to say before we move past Barca, Snow, Smurf, Pulaski, whatever your name is nowadays. Barca is close to your heart, and you have some information about this. I really hope you're listening. I'm not talking out my ass for this.
I'm listening.
Okay, thank God. Yeah, you have a lot of information about Barca, more than what we can find out. So please inform us. What has happened?
Okay, first of all, let's address something that needs to be addressed. It's Smurf, please. Come on, like I understand change my game tag like 5 times, but still, it's Smurf, bro. Get with the program. Anyway, Barcelona, yes, it's very close to my heart. I'm a big Barcelona fan in real life, and when K-City stepped down, it was a moment to rejoice because everybody thought that Barca would step up now. But then Yard Boy Geraldine took over, and it's clear to say that every player on the team right now is upset because it's like K-City version 2 right now. Stats is a problem, scoring is a problem, management overall is a problem. He can't keep his teammates in check, the players in check. Basically, nobody respects him at this point. And he's just not making anything better for himself. It's sad to say, but Barcelona is going to be in League 2 next season.
Now, Smurf, as you mentioned, you're a lifelong Barca fan in real life. Assuming something goes south with Dortmund and you don't get promoted, could we see, finally, King Smurf managing Barcelona?
Yes, that's a huge possibility if I give him the chance. So, yeah. I mean, who wouldn't want to see Lionel Messi take over Barcelona's management? Just saying. I'm just saying.
Oh, my God.
Don't at me at that.
Quite a few hot takes there by King Smurf, as he likes to be called now, Rio.
Probably not going to remember that, but I'll try for you, Snow. Oh shit! Damn it! I didn't even look. I'm gonna cut this part out, but no, I'm not actually gonna cut it. I've been calling this man Snow for so long, and he keeps changing his name. I don't like. It's just Snow in my head.
Okay, look. Snow to everybody who knew me back then. Smurf to everybody now.
There you go.
That's fair. That's a fair compromise.
Moving on.
No way.
Moving on. Past Barcelona, we get Leipzig, who are 6 points away from, or 6 points deep in relegation. I don't know the correct term for that, if someone wants to correct me there. But they really enjoy the scoreline 4-1. They played 5 games in their past 2 match days. They lost 4-1 3 times, and they won 4-1 once. And they have 4 losses and 1 win. So I don't know what it is with them and with 4s and 1s, but something that is kind of clicking.
Maybe the manager's favorite number is 4.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a PCN point shaving scandal if Rio's insinuating what I think he's trying to, but that's a bold claim. I don't know if I'm ready to make that on the podcast. Yeah, definitely not the best week for them. You don't want to be losing 4-1 3 times, but I guess the good thing is that they did win 4-1 once. That win coming against Monaco. Only 3 points in 5 games. That's going to be tough to dig themselves out of relegation. So League 2 is looking like a very real for Leipzig now.
Leipzig is another one. Not touching on it long. Leipzig is another one of those clubs that was like has really good players in real life. So you would think that like teams that take it over want to like honor that. But man, it is what it is sometimes.
I mean, I do know J-Way before he took over Pirates. I think he took over Leipzig on a little bit of a winning streak there, but they have not been able to replicate the same success since.
This is true.
Below Leipzig, we have Athletic. 4 losses, 4 games. There's not really much to say here. They've just been bad.
Rip Atletico.
Least goals scored in the league, most goals conceded. Their goal differential through 21 games is negative 63. So an average game for them, they're losing by 3 goals. There's not much to say here because it's just you hate to see it. You really do.
Good luck in League 2 next season.
Good luck in League 2 because at this point, I think there's 0 chance they're moving up. I don't want to rip any team on the podcast, but there's not much good for Atletico at the current moment. And now we've reached the bottom of League 1, talking about Atletico moving down to League 2. Let's look at how League 2 has been this season. Rio?
Okay. So, not that many people watch League 2 streams, but I'm not going to lie. Brazil and Lego. I actually turned on a few League 2 games just to see what all the chatting is about in the Discord. Not gonna lie, I don't understand their style of play, but from a viewer, it's exciting to watch because a lot of goals are being scored. First place, finally, a team has changed positions in this table. The New York Red Bulls are now in first place, 49 goals for and only 12 against, 37 goal difference. They're joint tied for first, though, with Valencia behind them. 44 goals for, 18 against. Marseille has dropped to third place. They're now sitting at 11 wins, 5 draws, 5 losses. 37 for, 22 against. Porto moved up from 5th to 4th place, sitting on 35 points. PSV dropped to 5th on 31 points. Besiktas, Moscow, Fenerbahce, Sporting, and Ajax all still remain in the same spot. But one thing to mention, in case you don't listen to or if you haven't listened to all the podcasts, don't pay attention. Ajax has not won the game all season, but with a recent transfer from Team of the Week in League 1 striker Lord King from the Pirates, they've got a win. So everybody has a win now. So happy days. They beat Sporting 4-3.
Yeah, coming out of the expense of Sporting, but I know being in last place, that win means a lot more for them than it would for anyone else in the league watch. I know a lot of people in Super League might not care about League 2, but for them, getting that first win, it gets rid of a little bit of embarrassment for them, definitely.
No, losing a lot is tough, but nobody wants to go a season without a single win. So,
and with that, that concludes this week's episode of the PCN Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.